Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. As you're listening to this, you're probably on a Thursday getting ready for the 2023 NFL Draft. This is kind of like our NFL Draft pre-show in a lot of ways. Jacked for it, excited. I got about 2 pounds of tri-tip in me. I cooked 6 pounds right now for the wife's friends. So if I sound a little like sluggish, it's like happy sluggish because I'm just chock full of beef.
Thick.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm so full I have to lean back to breathe, you know?
You're just like, it's like all up in the top.
Yeah, like it hasn't settled yet.
It's all pushing on your sternum.
I didn't do the cool down plate, which we've talked about so much. The cool down plate is essential.
Let me tell you.
Tell me.
The old lady and I went to this. We like this place. It's a seafood buffet type place, but we really just go for the Mongolian barbecue because it's really good. So I did my Mongolian barbecue noodle plate. Then I got the Texas toast and the tri-tip and all that stuff. And then I did the cool down plate, which was a salad and like some broccoli and carrots and stuff like that. And it worked like a charm.
I'm telling you. Not
only was I not bloated and full, I shit like a champ the next morning.
It mixes in. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Vegetables don't stack.
It's the thing on the top, so it keeps all the acids down and like
vegetables don't stack. When you go like, oh, I'm gonna have a quesadilla and then a hamburger and then a pizza, like it just stacks. So like when my dogs take dumps, I can always tell exactly when they got into our food because it'll be like a clean one and then like halfway through the same dump, it'll get like splattery and like, oh yeah, that's when That's when they got into my 3-year-old's dino bites. You know what I mean? You can always tell. Cool down plate at the end settles everything.
It works, ladies and
gentlemen. It's like adding sand to cement. It's a combining factor.
For sure, man. Good stuff. So look,
not everyone's puking their guts out listening to the show,
right? No. What I did today, I got home a little early, and I'm looking around. I'm like, all right. Plan out my snacks.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make sure my seat was just right. I made sure there's no glare coming into the, I got my spot set up for the draft tomorrow.
Nice. And we will do a live show on YouTube immediately after the Raiders make their first round selection. If they trade up, we'll do it after that. If they trade down, we'll do it after that one. If they get 2 picks in the first round, we'll do it. So there will be, not even when the first round's over, but after the Raiders make their first round selection, we will go live on YouTube, give you the reaction, give the analysis, the sophisticated dick and fart jokes that you're so
the analysis
accustomed to, and then stick to our social media at the Windbags on Twitter, at the Autumn Windbags on Instagram. Every single pick, one of us, usually Soto, because his work schedule is better on the weekends than mine, will post instant reactions to each one, and then we'll go live Sunday morning for a reaction to all 12, hopefully more than 12 draft picks that the Raiders make this 2023 NFL draft. A lot to get to, a lot of fun stuff. It should be exciting. So it's the lead up to the NFL draft. It's like the lead up to a presidential election. Like the draft is super important. Like it's really, really important. Like it makes a good draft can make a franchise. A bad draft can torpedo a franchise. It can make a coach's career. It can make a quarterback's career. Certainly a GM's career. Like a draft is so important. But because it's so important, the media, and I don't mean to like paint all broad strokes with like the media, but you just get so much fluff and misinformation, and the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, that I can't stand the lead up to a draft. Like it's so much nothing. 99% of what you read, it's an agent of a college player trying to up his stock. It's the GM of a team trying to drop the stock of a college player. It's a GM of a team trying to throw a curveball to people picking above him, making them think they want to go somewhere else. It's just all bullshit. It's like listening to like Fox News or MSNBC leading up to a presidential election. You know who that MSNBC wants the Democrat to win, Fox News wants the Republican to win, and you just listen to their bullshit constantly. That's the lead up to the NFL draft. And because it's so important, I get stuck reading it and immersing myself in it, and I'm just dumber from the process. So I'm so happy we're coming to the draft. One, because the Raiders have 12 picks, and this is a chance to turn this defense around. And two, that means all the bullshit media lead up to the draft is over. And we can just talk about who we actually got instead of what we magically think may happen or what misinformation the fucking Chiefs GM wants to throw our way.
Yeah, there's a couple ways you can focus your attention on these pre-draft things. You can look at it like, okay, the Raiders are going to pick this player. They're going to pick that specific player. Or you can kind of digest all the information to look at different philosophies. How is the team going to look at the prospects? How are they going to look at building their draft? And there's a couple different things that I've been hearing, but for the most part, it's impact players that touch the ball or that touch the quarterback. So I don't know that we're going to spend too many high picks on
the quarterback's wife.
Yes, and the quarterback's ball.
She touches the quarterback, yeah.
But
not our quarterback.
No.
How often do you think Jimmy G has to handle his own business versus has some?
Never.
Right. He's always got a 9.5 in arm's reach at all times. At least one or two.
He rolls out the Holodex and just pulls one out whenever he feels like it. But
Holodex. What's that from? Holodex.
A Holodex?
The Holodex.
I don't remember. It's from somewhere. I just forgot. I don't see us taking too many in any scenarios where we take a skill position player early.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves you with touching the quarterback is a defensive lineman or a rushing linebacker, and someone who touches the ball would be defensive backs. So hopefully that's where we stick, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. It's when it's just all just bullshit getting shoved onto my screen constantly, it's just bothers me so much. It's why am I reading this? I know it's not real, really all right, you watch them play in college, you watch the game film of them actually playing the sport of football. That's 75% of what you need to know right there, right? Watching them play football in college, 75% of it. Then you see how they do in the combine. All right, let's get some metrics, 40 time, 3 cone, that kind of stuff, right? That's 10% of it. And the rest is interview. All this other stuff is just fluff. It's just all fluff. And that's what happens when the most important thing, how did they play in college, is the furthest thing away, right? It gets lost in GMs and scouts and fans' minds because it's the last thing it's the furthest thing away that happened. What did we talk about? Was it last show? How Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, they skyrocketed because they're great combine guys, right?
Yeah,
Levis, who looks better in shorts? Who looks better in a shorts and in a sleeveless shirt than Will Levis? Who puts up better numbers in a combine than Richardson? So you're just oh wow, But remember when they actually played football? That's what's most important. And so I have to keep catching myself and not getting swept up in these week of draft narratives and forget, oh yeah, this guy was really fucking good in college. Or, oh yeah, this guy was really bad in college. Never mind these metrics and random shit. Wow, coaches are really blown away by the interview, And there's value to an interview for sure. There's value there. Not more important than what they actually did playing the sport of football. So remember that, guys, when you're watching the draft on Saturday and you're happy or sad about whoever, don't listen to the narratives. Don't listen to the storylines. Don't listen to GMs or whispering about whatever. How well did they play? How good are they at football? We've seen them play football. How good are they? That's the most important part.
Yeah, definitely. The measurables and all the combine stuff, that causes you to go look at more film. All right, this guy's got a lot of good measurables. Let's see what he did. Maybe, you're looking at a scheme issue where they're asked to do a lot of things that maybe you don't do, but let's say a guy from the secondary, a lot of the concepts that you run in the secondary, he's doing really well, but they're asking him to do different things. Yeah. And when they ask him to do different things, he's not as good as that at that. So he would work well with you, and he's shown that he can play well, and he's shown good measurables. So there's just a lot of research to go into part. I mean, Ziegler even said that they did 15 straight days of draft meetings. So they're going through they're not just doing the first round either. They're going through the entire draft, talking about every single pick. Where do you see this team going? What do we do in these situations? When do we feel comfortable trading up? When do we feel comfortable trading back? Stuff like that. So, I mean, that's a lot of extensive work.
And like the combine and stuff, that all should just be an extension of what you already know, right? Like after the combine, like we knew Anthony Richardson was a freak athlete before the combine. Like we knew that. Like we were very aware that he was a specimen with a high ceiling. We knew that. It's like, but because the combine was in recent memory just a month ago, now we think it's much more important than how he played football, right? Like that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, remember when they played football, right? And so with that said, our question of the day, most important question for Raider Nation. Pretend I'm Roger Goodell standing up at the podium in Kansas City. Got a stupid, like slight grin on his face. You know how he does like the side grin when he's getting booed? He's like this is great. Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, I'm making $50 million a year. Fuck off. Football hating pussy. And he goes, and with the 7th pick in the 2023 NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select who? Let us know in the comment section. We'll pin this on top. Let's get our predictions. We got one more day. We got from now until probably 6:30 Pacific time when we get the answer to that question.
7 picks. Yeah, probably about an hour and a half.
Ish, right? Like they'll do a lot of fluff to begin with, and then we're pick number 7. And with the 7th pick of the 2023 NFL draft, the Las Vegas select who? It could be anything. You can say with that pick they trade up, with that pick they trade down. You can say they go with a high impact player. You can say they go with a positional player. You can give us names. Very curious what you guys.
Whatever you want. Dealer's choice. You want.
We're a democracy here at the Autumn Windbags, right?
For sure.
So let's go over a couple things. Be a pretty quick show today because it's just like a one-day show. Because once the draft's done, like this show's gonna be worthless. Let's go over worst case scenario, right? Okay. Because we'll end with the positive. We'll end with best case scenario. Worst case scenario. What happens Thursday night with our first round pick? Worst case scenario. So here's a look at the picks. Panthers 1, Texans 2, Cardinals 3, Colts 4, Seahawks 5, Lions 6, then us Raiders, Falcons, Bears, Eagles, Titans, Texans, Packers.
Lions and Bears and Eagles, all mine.
You want to go first or want me to go first?
No, I'll take a stab at it. Okay. My worst case scenario is we reach for a player at a position that's not crucial.
Yep.
That is my, like, if we go like a Skoronski, like he's a guard, okay? He's not, he's probably not going to play tackle in the NFL. He's going to play guard. And you could have gotten like an Avila or something in the second round, Zavala, like maybe in the third. And are they going to be as top end good as him? But no, they're going to be, pretty damn good. And when you have so many needs on the other side of the ball, especially if there's, some playmakers still available, that'd be my worst case. Reaching for player and position.
Yeah, I'm with you. If they go like a Northwestern lineman or something at 7, that's nuts. That's crazy.
I'd be so upset, man. I would be so freaking upset.
With how many holes we have on defense. And this is the other part too. Like, what do we always talk about? A draft pick it's like a stock. It has a value. It has a It has a currency, a metric of value. Now, what you do with it is up to the pick, right? But there are crazy, insane variables with the NFL draft. We talk about a bunch of time. Like, you know how I feel about it. I feel like the draft is so much more of a crapshoot than people give it credit for. But there are things that are concrete. A rookie contract has value. That's why guys reach for quarterbacks, and it's often a good swing, right? If you swing and miss at a quarterback, well, it's because if you hit a home run and you get a franchise quarterback on a rookie deal, you have the golden goblet. Like that is heaven on earth. Having, a Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, a Pro Bowl quarterback on a rookie deal, right? Like that's okay. It's worth taking swings and potentially missing on something that awesome, right? The value of getting like a guard at number 7, where you're gonna have to pay him, $6 million. It's like there's no value there. Like Pro Bowl, there's Pro Bowl guards who don't make $6 million. So it's like, okay, like let's say the Raiders scout out an awesome guard, and he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard for the next 10 years, and he's the shit. Okay, let's say they got it right. Even then, the value of the pick doesn't make sense. You want a defensive end, a quarterback, a pass rushing linebacker. You want a player that's expensive on the open market that's stuck on a rookie deal. Because those are the things you can control. Those are the things you know for sure. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's like I'm more concerned with what that pick tells us that the Ziegler regime is thinking.
That's another part too, because this is basically their first. This is their first pick ever, right?
Like if they, no clue. Yeah, it's like so if they pick an offensive lineman at 7, especially like I said before, if there's impact players available still defensively, right, at those positions, right, where you touch the quarterback or you touch the ball, right. So if you have some players that are still available for you there, and you go offensive lineman, that tells me that you're saying with a Mahomes, a Herbert, a Russell Wilson with Sean Payton, Lamar Jackson and Burrow and Bill and Josh Allen and fucking Karen Rodgers, like with all of those quarterbacks in the AFC. You're saying your offense and Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough to outscore and outplay them, even with no matter what kind of defense you have. Yeah, that's what you're saying is I'm going to protect my offense and my quarterback because I'm comfortable with my offense out-dueling all those offenses, even though I have a lack of defensive playmakers. That's what you're saying with that pick, and that's just not correct. It's false. Our offense is not that good to be able to outscore regardless of our defense. I don't think any team is that good. And with you picking an offensive lineman at 7, that's what you're saying. You're saying we don't need these playmakers, these high-end playmakers defensively. We would rather fortify our offense more because that's how we're going to win games. I don't see a Jimmy Garoppolo offense with a bad defense outscoring Mahomes and outscoring Burrow and Allen and all these great quarterbacks. I don't see that happening.
So more specifically, my worst case scenario is the quarterbacks that Ziegler are interested in get drafted ahead of us. We can't find a trade partner for the quarterbacks that are still left. And we've heard the rumors, right? Like, oh, they're into Richardson. Then I'm not going to believe rumors. I'm not going to believe that. It's all bullshit, right? Let's just say Ziegler has of the 4 big quarterbacks, right? Young, Stroud, Levis, Richardson. They like Stroud and Levis. Fucking pick 2, whatever, right? They don't like the other 2, right? Whatever. Pick 2. Those 2 guys get drafted before 7. We can't find a trade partner, and we go like O-line. We get like a Northwestern lineman. Like that. I think that's worst case scenario. Because even if we trade down and don't get like monsters, like at least we're getting more picks on a team that needs depth and start. Like we need depth and starters. You know what I mean? It's not just like we just need depth. Like we need depth and starters, right? So if we can't find a trade partner and the guys that Ziegler are in love with don't happen, we get like a lineman. I think that's worst case scenario. We waste number 7 on like a guard.
I don't see where us taking an offensive lineman with the caliber of defensive linemen that are available in the first round. Because look,
if we were at 16,
dude, we could still get a Porter at corner. Maybe we'll still get a Miles Murphy. We could still get maybe a Clancy from Pittsburgh. We can still get a guy that's going to be a good football player on a position of need.
Think about it. At 7, there is a legitimate chance. There is a legitimate chance that 4 of the first 6 picks are quarterback. That's a possibility. That's a real possibility, right? And so we have basically our pick of every defensive player minus 2. That's a real possibility.
And there's 4 that I would take if they're on the board. And we all know what those 4 are. It's in no particular order. There's Carter, there's Anderson, there's Witherspoon, there's Wilson, and the 5th is Gonzalez. If they're there, it's whatever your flavor is, whichever one you like. But those are like the top end defenders that are available right now.
And even with the 2 corners, and even with them, corner at that high of a pick in the first round, the value doesn't add up great. You know what I'm saying? Like if it lands great, like again, no matter what pick we make, if they land, like we're in a good spot, right? If it's a 10-year starter, 4-time Pro Bowler, it works. But again, you're rolling the dice on them succeeding. You're not rolling the dice on the value of the position on a rookie deal. You know basically what that is. Like it changes year to year, but you basically know what that is. And corner doesn't fall. Now I get it. These 2 corners are fantastic. And so that kind of changes the metric a little bit. But if you don't know quarterback or edge in the top 7, you're not maximizing the pure metrics of how the economics of first round contracts go.
Yeah,
I'm not going to hate it. I'm not going to hate it, but it's not. You're not maximizing the position on that side.
Basically, you're swinging for you're choking up on the bat, and you're hoping that you can get it. If you choke up on the bat and you swing as hard as you can, you're hoping
something
for
Jimmy G never has to do. He lets someone else do that for him.
Yeah, so it's like you choke up on the bat and you swing as hard as you can. You're hoping for a double because you're not going to hit it out of the park. That's what you're doing with an offensive lineman. Now, are these guys? All these draft picks, are they all crapshoots? Yes. But if you swing for the fences and you go for a guy who has production and who has measurables and who has dominated good competition, like the 5 that I just named, those guys are pitches down the middle that you swing for the fences because your probability of hitting a home run is pretty good.
Yeah.
Even though it's not 100%, because you could miss, you could pop up, whatever. Anything can happen. But those are the kind of guys you want to take those big swings on, not on an offensive lineman at number 7, man. I'm okay. I'm okay with being a little chicken shit and not reaching to fortify my defense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
At 7, there's no reason to reach on defense. There will be guys there.
There's going to be somebody there. One of those 5 players that I mentioned is going to be there.
If there isn't one of those great players there, then like Stroud's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, Stroud or Young is going to be there.
Like you're getting yeah. Like there's more than 6 players of like either top-notch quarterback prospects or game-changing defenders. There's more than 7 on the board. It's that simple. All right.
Yeah,
enough of the sadness.
Man. It's just basic arithmetic.
Best case scenario. Let's be happy. This is what we're hoping. This is what's going to happen Thursday night. We're predicting it right now. We are putting it out in the ether. Positive energy. Best case scenario, Soto. Absolute best case scenario, Thursday night. What happens?
Best case scenario, we trade back slightly. Still able to get one of those 5 impact defensive players, right? And we're able to trade back in late and not lose a lot of draft capital because we've got some draft capital.
We still end up net positive.
Yes,
right? With what we got from trading back and what we get from trading in.
Even if we only get 10 picks, we still have 2 first rounders, which is you want those top 125 picks. You want to pick players in that.
We could still end up with 12. Like if we get more value from trading back than we have to spend trading up.
Correct.
We could still end up net positive.
Yeah.
Exchanges.
That is my best case scenario. And with the second pick, we either fill another need defensively, or we do like a backup quarterback that we can develop. That's like probably gonna be like a Hendon Hooker type thing, or we do like another maybe like a Cansey or a Breezy, or even a Porter if he slips, like a defender like that. That's still going to be a high end quality player. That's best case scenarios. We end up drafting twice, filling positions of need with impact players, and not sacrificing the rest of our draft.
That's pretty close to mine. Like I'm saying, like we get to 7, and again, let's say there's 2 quarterbacks that Mick Ziegler love and 2 they don't. The 2 they want are gone, and so there's still 2 great quarterbacks left, right? Whoever the 2 are that they don't want to draft. A team like Lions, Falcons.
I'm thinking it's going to be the
Titans.
The Texans.
Like Titans. The Titans are desperate. They're like,
oh, shit. 11, yeah.
Will Levis fell to 7.
Yeah.
Will Levis fell to 7. Here's the world. Like let's say the Titans are in love with Will Levis. Whatever. Pick a quarterback, right? Let's say Will Levis. And he's available at 7, and the Raiders don't want him. They unload a boatload to the Raiders. First round next year, second round this year. We get their number 11 this year. We trade down, we get 11. And with 11, all that drama surrounding Jalen Carter, he drops to 11.
Oh, Jesus, if that happens.
And we get all the people that are like, because this is like, I'm saying like realistic, but hopeful, but realistic, right? It's realistic. Jalen Carter falls to 11 with all the drama around him, and he showed up like 10 pounds heavier to his
pro day
than he did like playing. So like there's a little like there's enough red flags where I think he can slip outside of the top 10. We get him at number 11, and then same as you, like I do kind of want Hendon Hooker in the first round just so we get that fifth year on his rookie deal.
Here's my thing on Hooker though. I don't know that he has that much more room to develop, much more than he is already. Dude's played a lot of college football. He's 25 years old. So how much better is he going to get?
I'm glad you asked. Good. Well, honestly, the question is I don't know. But the potential is high because he played in a wonky, simple, very college offense in
Tennessee,
in Knoxville, right? Like he played in like it's not an offense that like replicates well to pro, right? So it's like, all right, is that all he can do, or is he capable of so much more? He just wasn't in an environment that let him potentially flourish in it.
So okay, I get that, but he was in a more pro style offense in Virginia Tech, and he lost his job. Mm-hmm. That's why he transferred out. So that's my concern, is that we've seen what his level now. If he can translate playing like that into the pros, and from what I've heard, from what you've heard, different players, different coaches, different people in the NFL, different quarterbacks even have said Josh McDaniels is a good offensive mind. If he can figure out a way to make that style of fast break type offense work in the NFL with a Hendon Hooker, okay. But when he's played in a more of a pro style offense like he was in Virginia Tech, and I'm not saying it was a pro style, I'm thinking it was a little bit, it wasn't as gadgety as Tennessee was. Mm-hmm. He lost his job there, and that's why he transferred. That's my concern.
I just want a guy named Hooker in Las Vegas.
They're called escorts in the beautiful city of Las Vegas, sir.
See, I'm not going to let those hoe bags change the English language. Like, you're hookers. Don't try to don't say oh, I'm a master of the custodial arts. No, you're a janitor. That's fine. Like it's a fine job. You know, the world needs janitors, and that's your job. My brother-in-law is a janitor. No knock on it, but you're a fucking janitor.
I'm a born again version. No, you're not.
You're no. You're not a high-end escort in Las Vegas. You're a hooker, and that's okay. It should be legal.
You're not a live performance artist. You have an OnlyFans. It's completely different.
Hendon escort. If we draft it, it's gonna be one of our t-shirts.
Lady of the night.
Hendon escort. We're gonna make that a t-shirt when we start. So for the we're teasing it, but when this next season happens, we're gonna start doing swag. We already got a couple, but Hendon escort.
We should have
should be one.
Instead of the Raiders logo, we'll have our logo, and in the back it's gonna have his number, but instead of the hooker, it's gonna say escort.
I'm in.
Sweet.
We got ideas. Patent pending for all you guys.
Yeah, don't steal that shit.
Patent pending. All right.
Doesn't matter. I don't trust these guys, RJ. Cut that shit out of them. Freaking, I don't trust any of these guys.
You got to edit button that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll cost you. What movie is that from? Let us know in the comments.
Rise with Schmalmy Schmoy.
So your favorite mock draft was The Athletic. You have way more patience in handling mock drafts than I do. You've seen I've seen a dozen, and that's 11 more than I needed to. You've seen like half a century worth. And they had their latest one. Literally, it was released. We're recording this on Wednesday night. Literally released today. And on this one, it kind of fell in line, right? Number one, Panthers. Number one, Bryce Young to the Panthers. 2, Stroud to the Texans. 3, Will Anderson to the Cardinals. 4, Anthony Richardson to the Colts.
Well, that's a little surprising. All right.
Yeah. 5, Jalen Carter to the Seahawks.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
6, Tyree Wilson to the Lions.
Their defensive line's going to be legit. If they get those two guys.
You talk about players whose draft stock rose like because of like narrative recently. That's Tyree Wilson. The 6 overall.
That's
he's good, but like he's catapulted. In this one, we take Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon. Okay,
I'm fine with it.
Cool.
Gonzalez, what's your flavor, man?
Not complaining.
Do you like pistachio or do you like butter pecan?
Again, corner at that high isn't maximizing positional value with rookie contracts, but doesn't spit in its face. It's not a lineman,
Well, the thing is, you're looking at two players that are so far above talent-wise than the rest of the group in their class.
Yeah.
And I can see Gonzalez being the pick because, he was in a more pro-style defense at Oregon. He showed he can play man and in zone, whereas Witherspoon really only excels in man coverage.
Yeah.
So, I can see it. I don't hate it.
It's in relation to the pool you're picking from, right? Like you said, both those guys are so much better than there's decent cornerbacks in this draft, but those two are head and shoulders.
They're above. Yeah,
you're not going to get someone equivalent to him like late first, But in this one, they traded up at pick number 30. They took Philadelphia's pick, got Hendon Hooker. The Eagles trade number 30 to the Raiders for numbers 38 and 70.
Oh, it's steep. 8 spots, you give them 38 and 7. Ooh, that's a lot. But that's all right, whatever, man. You get 2 first.
But I get it. You move back into the first.
Yeah.
So you get that 5th year. I understand that. So, and this is the other big part of this draft that's so important to us. Obviously, just the people you get. A dozen picks. It was built that way for a reason.
Ammo.
Hopefully more, right? The other part is we're going to finally see what Ziegler is about with a full draft with first rounder, couple second rounders. We can get a better grasp of what Ziegler's all about. Especially if there's some trades moving around, right? Like let's say again, best case scenario, Ziegler fleeces the Titans at 11 because they get desperate and they want whoever. And Ziegler's just like grinds them to a pulp, right? We get a buttload of money, like what the Bears did to the Panthers, right? Like buttload of picks and whatever. And then when he trades back up, let's say in this scenario to number 30 for Hendon Hooker, that's not that bad for trading back up into the first.
If we're able to get more picks, because look, I'm not too worried about the 3 5s, the 2 6s, and the 2 7s. Mm-hmm. Can you find guys there? Sure, you can. And I think, honestly, a lot of the Raider fans out there, because we got like Renfro in the 5th and we got like
Max in the 4th,
like that's like common. That's not common. Those guys are normally drafted early, and because we've missed so much early, we think that that's what happens. Like, yeah, people miss all over the place, but normally you're going to have a higher percentage around the 125 and lower. So you want to get as many picks there as you can. Bless you.
Bless me.
Yeah, so I honestly do think that we're going to.
I'm allergic to us thinking we're going to get Pro Bowlers in the 5th round.
Right.
I sneezed. No, you're right. You're right. I mean, look,
to move up.
We should as a fan base demand that from our franchise. You find gems late in drafts. Like that should be like, look, that's what you're paid to do, right? You're a multimillionaire for many reasons, and one of them is to find diamonds in the rough, right? That we should demand that, but it is hard. It's really hard to find Pro Bowlers there, right? It's a tough job, and I think like that was always like the good and bad side of the coin of John Gruden was, I want a Gruden grinder, and that's how we ended up with Clelin Ferrell at 4, but that's also how we ended up with Hunter Renfrow at 5. Is him looking for these very, very specific traits, and normally it fell in our face. But when you're in rounds 3, 4, and 5, it's worked a few times, right?
More so 4 and up. Like look, here's my thing. You don't look for a Gruden grinder in the first 3 rounds. Yeah. You get a guy who's
you look for a Rolls Royce. You look for a Ferrari.
Yes, you look for that type of guy. Because I'll tell you something right now. And this I'm going to give Reggie McKenzie his too, okay? Because Gary Conley, DJ Hayden, Jonathan Averett, what the fuck's his name? The idiot. Arnett, Clelin Ferrell. These guys were not ballers on their team. Were they good? Yeah, but they were like above and beyond the best player, even on their own college team. So they're reaching for these players because they have this mythological trait that you're looking for.
What did they do? They fell in love with random stuff as the draft got closer.
That's why I don't look.
They blew me away in the interview. They blew me away, and they're like, did they play football really, really well in November? That should trump everything. Recency bias.
It's just it bugs me when people are like, oh, we have to take this guy. No, you don't. You look at the players and you stack them up, and okay, these guys are above the rest. These prospects at these positions are so much better than the rest of the prospects at these positions. We have to get these guys here because what's later is not going to be nearly as good. If you're looking at, like I said, offensive linemen, dude, there's good, solid, strong offensive linemen we could get in the 3rd round, in the 4th round. There's good players that we can get. And it's like, I'm just really nervous we're getting an offensive lineman at 7, and I would be heartbroken.
That would be worst case scenario.
I would be heartbroken, man.
All right, so we listened to Dave Ziegler's pre-draft presser earlier in the week. You did a live on it. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. But what are some highlights of that presser that bears repeating on trying to and Ziegler, to his credit, is pretty good about keeping his cards close to his vest. Like, it's rare that you're just like, oh, wow, he gave that away, you know?
Yeah, he's a pro. I said it on the live, just like, dude, Ziegler's a pro on the mic, but I think the reporters are getting good at asking certain questions a certain way, and he has to give them a little bit. And I think he did reveal some.
Okay.
So the first question that was asked actually was, do you feel looking at the body of players, you're in a good position to add multiple players who are going to be able to help pretty quickly? That was this season. That was the question, and his answer was, if you kind of know what you're looking for, I think he reveals something in the answer. That's the hope. I think his answer was, that's the hope. I think when you're picking at the top, where we are at in some where we are at, that bugs me. Where we are at in some of these rounds, you have to be. You hope that you're able to find some guys that are going to impact the team, and selfishly, we want to do that throughout the whole draft. But I think we're in a good position with the number of picks we have and where we are picking to find some players that are going to come in here and have a positive impact on the team. So the things that I picked out were the impact players, and throughout the whole draft, we know typically the impact players that are going to help right away are going to be in the first 3.5 rounds. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that we're going to use some of our picks to trade back up, maybe not in the first round, but rounds 2, 3, maybe. That's what I'm thinking, or even just trade back in the second round and pick up more 2s, 3s, 4s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's where they're focusing is the first 4 rounds, 3.5 rounds of this draft, because they want players to come in and impact right away. And you can't plan to get impact players in rounds 5, 6, and 7.
You understand how many bodies you need, but you want impact bodies ASAP. So you're trading down from 7, but you're trading up from 5 and 6.
Or you're adding another 2, another 3. You're adding more players that are going to make more of an impact on your team.
Also, I think here's the reality of it. If we stick to 12 draft picks, we draft 12 players. 12 rookies from the draft aren't making this squad. It's not happening. They're not all 12 aren't making the 53. Between undrafted free agents, free agent signings, it ain't happening. What you're doing is you're casting a wide net. I think that's another part of what he's. I think that's also kind of subconsciously what he's saying as well. Is look, we're just gonna, you hope you're able to find guys who are going to impact the team. And we want to do that throughout the whole draft. But I think we're in a good position with the number of picks we have that we're going to find some good players. It's like last season, every single one of the players drafted made the team, but they shouldn't have. Britton Brown shouldn't have been on the team. Like, there's a lot of there's a defensive lineman that never contributed. It was a small draft, but they were just kind of kept around for no reason. This is the draft where they're like, okay, we don't have to be married to our guys. We don't have to defend every single one of our picks by keeping them. We're taking 12 swings. We're not going to hit every one of them.
Yeah, we're creating They talked about this, creating competition.
Yeah, we're going to draft some duds. With 12 picks, you're going to draft some duds. But but we're going to with all of our 5, 6, and 7th rounders, we're going to get a good player in 5, 6. We will get 1 or 2 really good players in rounds 5, 6, or 7.
Whether it be in that round or we use those picks to pick in an earlier round. I mean, It all depends. And now this next one, this is the last one I'm going to go over because I think it's a kind of a two-parter here because there's 2 questions and the 2 answers kind of marry each other. Okay. So the first question was, what is the priority? What is the direction you want to go with the 7th pick? Okay. Ziegler's answer was, I think the priority is finding someone who will make an impact. You want to find a starting level player at that spot. There's no doubt about that. You want to find a player that hopefully fits a need that you have. We're going to look at the best available players, but we want to have a lot of places on this team where we can add competition. So that's the first part. Now, this second part kind of coincides with that, and then we'll talk about it. The next question is, what is the Dave Ziegler mentality of drafting? And this is why these 2 answers go together. His answer was, we talked about it last year. We're focusing on taking the best player available. I think where our roster is at and want to improve competition in every position, that leaves us open to that. I would caveat that by saying, and here's the good part about best available player. There's a lot of different things that encompass that, not just tape. It's best fit for the Raiders.
Every single GM says, oh yeah, I'm taking best player available. And every single GM drafts to need. Every time. Everyone. All 32 GMs. Every time.
Yeah. Best fit for the Raiders. What do we need? Yeah, there's an awesome wide receivers that are available at 7, right? But we don't need that, especially at 7. We have other needs. So that tells me
that's actually worst case scenario.
Yeah, if you put those two answers together, it's like, yeah, man, we're going to get best player available, but that best player available needs to be a starter on our team. And how do you guarantee he's a starter if you have a very thin position competition there?
Ziegler's drafting for need. He's drafting for need. For sure.
And it just so happens this draft is deep in.
And just so happens we need almost every position.
The secondary, there's some pass rushing linebackers that we can get that are pretty athletic. There's some interior offensive linemen we can get mid and late in the draft. I just hope we don't reach, man. I hope we don't reach for a lineman or a position we don't need early. I just not to say that these guys aren't good players. Like Paris Johnson and Skoronski and Jones and Wright and all these guys, these are all good players. They're going to be good players in the league, I think. But how much are they? That's like us spending a lot of money on a one really good defensive player. Like how much is he going to move the needle from a really bad defense?
What's the value of the position?
Yeah,
and that's what I'm worried about is maybe Ziegler's so worried about his job that he goes super, super safe.
That's what I'm saying. Choking up on the bat and swinging for
a Northwestern lineman that will certainly contribute, right? He's like, hey, he was a starter for us and he played well and he's going to be around a long time. It's like, cool. We could have got Will Anderson.
Going to help you have a top 3 offense. Then don't grab.
We could have had Will Levis. We could have had Will Anderson. Like we could, like, you know what I mean? Like, cool. Like you got a guy that contributed. Like you could have gotten way better at 7. You don't have to pick 25. You have to pick 7. Game changer, MVP potential. That's what you're like. Defensive player of the year potential at 7. That's what you're reaching for.
Yeah, you're talking about having a balanced roster, right? You have to have high-end talent on the defensive side. Where do you get high-end talent? You get it in the top of the draft. You get in the top of the draft. That's where you get it. And if some are there and you need them and you don't get them, you're saying that I just want to win with my offense. If you draft a Skoronski or a Johnson or a Wright or a Jones, you draft one of those guys at 7, the top 10 now, top 10 pick. You're saying that player is going to move your good offense into a great offense. This guy's going to make us great offensively because that's how we're going to win games.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Raiders and what Windbags?
God, please. I'm so nervous right now. My butthole is like, I couldn't freaking squirt out a freaking sesame seed.
Oh, I doubt that, Playboy. Bob Rutherford. I bet kids and pets hate RJ. You're batting 500. Pets love me, and it's the weirdest thing. Kids hate me. Babies. So if you're like 9 months and younger, like newborns, they just fall asleep on my arm. 1 to like 2.5, like 1 to like 2, immediately cry as soon as I come around. Just in tears immediately.
Oh, JR. That was in response to my sister going into labor the night. Actually, she gave birth the next day on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I was saying how babies and pets love me. And good old Bob had my back.
Ronnie Pole. Just me, Soto. Be foolish to jump back in the first round when it's truly that much of a drop-off when you get past the first 2 quarterbacks. So I say build needs, then find the quarterback to develop in round 3. At best, then it's really no pressure to throw the youngster in. It's a few with a little training that might be better than the first 2. Trust. That was a run-on sentence with a lot of typos, but I think I get what he's saying.
Yeah, for sure. Ronnie's the man. I understand where he's coming from. I don't know that the drop-off. The problem is we have nobody knows what these executives and GMs and all of them with how they feel, and these coaches feel about these players.
Yeah.
So if let's say, for example, we used Hendon Hooker as an example. If Hendon Escort is a guy that they're like, dude, this guy, we can do a lot. He does well a lot of things, with a lot of the concepts that we want to run here. He does well with that. Okay. Physically, does he check out? ACLs nowadays are nothing, dude. They used to be freaking like, remember Ed O'Bannon, UCLA player?
Yep.
He was like one of the first players to get a cadaver ACL, and he was able to play again. That was like a big deal. But like now, it's ACLs are like, okay, yeah, we'll fix you back up. OBJ has coming off of his second ACL injury on his blown out on his same knee, and he just signed for $18 million. Like, dude, they don't really give a shit about ACL injuries anymore. Okay,
yeah.
So he's gonna be
the new
back.
Tommy John.
Yeah, Hendon Escort's gonna be back. He's gonna be fine. Now they're saying, yeah, this guy here is the guy that's going to be what we can do. He excels at what we want to do schematically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if that's your guy, then go and get him, man. But the thing is you can't be wrong. And I'll say this: there's patience for this new regime. There's patience there, but the patience is running thin. It's the patience is not going to last forever.
There's only one quarterback I want the Raiders to draft.
Better be who I'm thinking it is.
After the first round.
Hell yeah.
O'Connell. Purdue. Farva O'Connell. God,
that's going to be the next year. If he gets drafted, we're going to have his number back there. It's going to say Farva on it.
He better. Say Karenrod. Say Karenrod.
Karenrod. You did me call this guy a chicken fucker?
Koji. Beerfest references. Another reason is why RJ is my favorite. It was Super Troopers and Beerfest references. It's crazy because I feel like they're both kind of the same movie in a lot of ways.
They're both Broken Lizard movies.
Yeah, the same cast, same style, same sense of humor. But there's like a clear divide. Like there's like Team Super Troopers and there's Team Beerfest.
I love
a lot of people. They're both awesome.
Yeah,
they're both better than what was that one when they're on an island?
Oh God, Club Dread.
Yeah, that trash awful one that they did.
They had that freaking that hot twin in there. Remember from Sweet Valley Twins, Sweet Valley High?
There was one hilarious joke from that one where it's like they're on like the two dudes are on the beach and they're like sad and like the guy like goes in for a bro hug and he pushes him away. He's like, "Dude, don't be gay." It's just like the most like casual, innocent bro hug. He's like, "Bro, don't be gay."
That couldn't pass today. For sure.
A lot of things can't. Like, comment, subscribe. Please tell your friends. Follow us on social media at The Windbags on Twitter, at Autumn Windbags on Instagram. And again, we will see you live Thursday night right after the Raiders make their first round pick. And we'll be back live Sunday morning when the draft is completely over and we have a chance to like kind of get over our hangover and digest everything, like look at some tape and really give you guys
dude. I'm so nervous.
A breakdown of all 12 players. In between then, again, make sure you follow us on social media because we'll be giving you updates on every single draft pick on there. We'll do it on YouTube. We'll do it on social media as well. It's a big time. And again, the lead up to the draft is over exaggerated and just a tidal wave of bullshit. The stuff after the draft, when we know who we have, crucial, big, worth everyone's attention. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.